You didn't know they ate Nat Turner. You didn't know they kicked the heads off of babies. You didn't know that they ate us in general. You didn't know that they used your teeth as goddamn their teeth. You didn't know that they used your skin to make leather shoes, leather in general. You didn't know that they put your hair in the furniture to stuff it. You don't know who you're messing with. You don't know who you are also in the world trying to integrate with. But it's not your fault. The information was definitely erased, policed. You weren't allowed to know it. And now you don't know. So what are you going to teach your kids? Nothing. So what are they going to do? Go into a world also not knowing even less than you. Buy these books, pass them down, so your generation, your lineage can understand and know who they're going out into the world dealing with. They Were Her Property, The Willie Lynch Letter, The Delectable Negro, and Slavery by Another Name. If y'all have any other books or anything, any other information that you would like to also add in, please comment that.
I think that Black parents should tell their children everything.
How can you disprove it? Their history is the proof to back up the establishment. They left a trail of blood. But now, when you bring up their history, they play the victim because it makes them uncomfortable. So they want you to be silent so they won't feel uncomfortable. In other words, they want us to forget all that establishment they done did, all that mass genocide, all that enslaving, all that raping, all that buck breaking, all that using little babies as alligator bait, all that Jim Crowing, all that redlining, all that manipulation by putting drugs in the society. The CIA already revealed that they was putting drugs intentionally in the indigenous communities, so-called black people, okay? They want us to forget about all that shit they did. They want to take it out the school systems. And then when somebody call them out on their bullshit, they want to play the victim. But your people sold your people. Ain't nobody studying that shit. Ain't nobody studying that shit. We talking about what you motherfuckers did while we over here. That's what we talking about. They always want to throw a decoy in there to take the attention off the bullshit they done. They don't want to be held accountable for it. Then when you mention reparations, I'm against that. Oh no. In other words, bitch, you're racist. That's what you're telling me. You're telling me you're racist. You're telling me you don't regret what your people did.
Form of racism in this country is that kind of racism that tries to tell black people to put your history behind you. To tell black folk, that it's unimportant. We need to move beyond blame. Let's forget about being the victim. They never tell it to anyone else. And you can never compete. You can never get out of your dilemma as long as you're ignorant of how you got into it. And I've got people telling me, so Dr. Anderson, what we need to do now is be teaching black folk how to just get beyond racism and become competitive with white folk. I say, how? You never tell anybody in this country to put their heritage, their race behind them, except black folk. And once you buy into that, if you buy into that garbage, you're lost. There's only three ways you could have gotten into your dilemma as a black people. Either you got here by godly divine decree, or you got here because you're genetically inferior, or you got here because white people have been socially engineering. If you put your history behind you, then they got you the worst form of race
in the world. Africans were present in South America 3,000 years ago. This is changing everything we know about our ancient past and who our ancestors really were. The Olmecs, who lived in present-day Mexico around 1200 BCE, the first civilization to create colossal stone heads, some weighing well over 20 tons. That's 20 small cars. They all faces with distinct African features. Columbus was not the first to contact the Americas. There was transoceanic contact or travel long before him. That's just the tip of the iceberg. The Olmecs, like many other civilizations during their time, had a profound understanding of astronomy and mathematics. They created one of the earliest known calendars and used a complex mathematical system that even predated the Maya. The Olmecs were also master engineers, even by today's standard. They built sophisticated drainage systems and used techniques we don't understand today to transport massive stones over great distances. Here's the next level of the iceberg. The artifacts found in Olmec sites are strange figurines and tools made from materials not native to the region. This proves an ancient, wide-reaching trade network. Some of these items connect to ancient cultures in Europe and Asia. The symbols and writing found on their artifacts are still undeciphered to this day. but they bear a striking resemblance to other ancient writings around the world. This leads us to believe that there was a global network of ancient advanced societies. They've hidden this from the world.
You know that the original Mayans were a dark-skinned, copper-brown complexion, similar to many so-called African Americans today. Contrary to common teachings, the Mayans are actually the ancestors of the so-called African Americans, which suggests that they have indigenous land rights in the Americas, not just Africa. This also highlights their identity as the original inhabitants of this land. Understanding your self-identity is crucial, as this information can cloud your perception. The historical use of breeding farms to whitewash dark-skinned Moors is significant. Referring to the Mayans as black is misleading, since the term does not denote nationality and has legal implications of being chattel or property. Since the Mayans were none of the above, it is essential to avoid such label. Nonetheless, recognize the Mayans as part of one's heritage. Ferdinand Columbus, which is so-called Christopher Columbus's son, described our people in South America as almost black in color and noted that they pierce holes in their ears large enough to fit hen's eggs. It is also incorrect to label the Mayans as African, as this term legally refers to chattel property and was not used by the Mayans themselves. The Mayans were indigenous to the Americas. They were the original Amarucans, and although they shared blood with African people, Africa is too broad of a term, considering our ancestors' identity. Europeans called the Mayans Black Amor. Early Europeans called the Mayans Black Amor due to their dark skin, which is reflected on their temple wall depictions. The Mayans are the successors of the Olmec or Old Mex civilization of Amexem. Amexem extended from northeast and southwest Africa across the Atlantis Ocean, yes, I said Atlantis, through present-day North, South, and Central America, which includes Mexico and the Atlantis Islands, also known as the Caribbean. They occupied parts of Mesoamerica, mainly the region that include modern-day Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, El Salvador, Yucatan, and Honduras. The Mayans cultivated the first crops in the region. They also domesticated local wildlife and built the first cities in the region. They are known for their monumental architecture, advanced astronomical and mathematical knowledge, and for their use of hieroglyphic writing. Sound familiar? They were one of the most highly advanced civilizations in the Americas. Their complex writing system of over 800 symbols were similar to that of Kemet and other ancient cultures. They documented key cultural aspects like astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and spirituality. They left behind one of the most intricate and fascinating timekeeping systems in history, the Mayan calendar.
In 1539, Soto himself landed in the Bay of Espiritu Santo in Florida for the purpose of conquest. He had served under Pizarro in Peru, and his methods were those learned from his master. So remember, Hernando or Fernando de Soto, right? He works under Pizarro when they conquered the Inca. And Pizarro was ruthless, cruel. So De Soto learned from his master, it says here. To ensure success, all opposition must be overcome. So with the expedition were taken bloodhounds, chains, and iron collars for the catching of holding of Indian slaves. Again, chains and iron collars. Iron collars for who? For Indian slaves, not African. The Spanish were not enslaving Africans. They were enslaving American Indians. I can't emphasize this enough. You know, perspective, orientation, the true slave trade. In reverse, the expedition was military in nature. Hence, it was natural that force and conquest should precede conciliation. There is no doubt that one of the purposes of Soto was to capture Indian slaves.
That was just on. Bro, why so heavy? Look at my hand. Trying to hold this up, bro. 18 hours every day.
Every day fighting. This is light chain. Light chain is used for children or babies. They have to put this iron brand into fire. When it's very hot, they pierce their lips.
A little?
Yeah. While they fix this, I use a small padlock to hook it up for them not to be able to eat while working in sugarcane plantation or to communicate whenever they are.
I made a video about this foolish motherfucker the other day, sitting up there trying to steal our history, sitting up there talking about Europeans came here, wasn't nobody here, you damn fool. How in the hell you get to be a congressman? You don't even know your own damn history, and you don't know American history. America was always dominated and populated by melanated people. The Olmec civilization down in Mexico, that's right, was the first civilization in America. Black civilization, melanated. Then they had the anchors in the Mayans. And we're talking about all of North America, including Canada, the so-called United States of America and Mexico,
and all the Caribbean islands and Central America, Honduras, and all of these other places that goes all the way to South America. Even South America had nothing but melanated people.
And they put our fathers to work for them for 300 years for nothing. Look, brother, just the people in this room. If I worked you for 1 week and kept your pay, I would be fat at the end of the week. Suppose I worked you for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month and kept your pay. Wouldn't I be able to live well? Can you imagine somebody keeping somebody else's pay for all of their life and their children's life and their children's life, going to 310 years? Our people never got a payday. White folks got our money, kept our money, worked us, and made us build a world for them that they lock us out of the benefits of. And they put our fathers to work for them for 300 years for nothing. Racism is everywhere and it's institutionalized. We cannot really be racist because racism is prejudice plus power. Nothing I say up here nor anywhere in the world will impact, stop fronting, will impact on any white folks in this audience, on your job, in politics, in economics, in housing, in the society. We don't have the power to do that, so we cannot be racist. You know what I'm saying?
We tell you that Negroes are being hung on the tree or being shot down illegally, unjustly. And those Negroes should do something to protect themselves. You say you're advocating violence. The white man is tricking you. He's trapping you. He doesn't call it violence when he lands troops in South Vietnam. He doesn't call it violence when he lands troops in Berlin. When the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, he didn't say get nonviolent. He said praise the Lord, but pass the ammunition. But when someone attacks you, when someone comes at you with a club, when someone comes at you with a rope, when someone comes at you with a gun, despite the fact that you've done nothing, he tells you, suffer peacefully. Pray for those who use you despitefully. Be long suffering. And how long can you suffer after suffering for 400 years?
I've always loved this portrait of our ancestor, Queen Charlotte.
Even a Lifetime special based on the romance of the present-day Duke and Duchess chimed in.
Oh, yes. You're of mixed race, Harry. So am I.
Why doesn't the Queen just come out and say it?
She can't. She may not. It's one of the things that the royal family cannot do. She would be stepping into political water.
You're saying that having black lineage is political in today's times.
Highly political.